What's Chicago doing? Eberflus is done after the secret contract extension.
So Eberflus ended up getting a longer contract that people didn't know about than Ryan Poles. So how are you going to give a contract to a coach first, which they did, and then bring the GM in on a shorter contract, and then bring in a president of operations that the GM was originally told that he'd be reporting to the owner directly, and then implementing a system saying like, no, you're going to end up talking to the president of operations instead of being able to talk to me right away. It was just it's the same thing that everyone's seen in Chicago since 1985 for 40 years, going on 40 years now. It's a it's a trash franchise. It is absolutely abominable what they've done to the Hallis name. George Hallis, God bless your soul. I'm utterly disappointed in what they do. There's two names out there, Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel, that to go to the Bears. I actually do have a favorite. I'll flat out tell you that right now. I do have a favorite. I won't share it with you because actually I want to share it next week when MJ jumps on with us again when he comes back because I kind of want to talk to him about this too. Fuck it, I'll do it right now. Originally I was like, okay, Ben Johnson, offensive system, blah blah blah. You know what? Like I'm kind of done with the first year head coaches, first like the new hot offensive coordinator that's super smart. Like we've seen that with Mark Trestman. We've seen that. Okay, so Mark Trestman was the innovator of what? Oh, nice. That's you guys. So Mark Trestman originally was like a huge innovator of offense and this, that, and the other. Where do you end up going back to? The Canadian Football League. Get the fuck out of here. All right. We saw with Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy was like the off of the branch off of the reed tree. Oh yay! Like that guy's going to be an innovator of offense. Everything's and this is not taking away the system because honestly, I think it's a systematic problem, but from ownership on down, that, like 100%. So they always hiring nice guys. Everyone needs to be nice. Everyone has to be like the newest and like the greatest and everything like that. The only coach in recent memory that they've actually hired that was not a coordinator first was John Fox. And that was the last time John Fox coached in the NFL was for the Chicago Bears because that shit was his golden parachute. He took that money and was like, I am out of here and go fuck yourselves, McCaskey family, because they're idiots because he was a nice guy. So we fast forward now to 2024 and hopefully they've learned their lesson and they understand that like, hey, we need to buck the trend. And in who I want, and I don't think they're going to hire him. I want Vrabel. I do. I want Vrabel. I want somebody that's going to verbalize like how things are fucked and how things are like you should be better. I want someone to put people in their place in that locker room because I think they need it. Because you had Jalen Johnson being a fucking bitch after a game. What'd you say?
Still is, but
yeah, and he's an amazing talent. Like, don't get me wrong. Like,
if that man needs to be put in his place.
If I saw him on the street and he's and like hype happened to like see our shit, I guarantee he wouldn't. But whatever. And like he all of a sudden like was like he's like, what the fuck you say? I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry. I would totally say sorry, but at the same time, like, dude, you gotta put you gotta like what happened on that the second run play or second touchdown and that run play against the 49ers, dude. How come you were like, go ahead? I would say that. I think he's an amazing talent. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. However, what the fuck? So that being said, like he wouldn't be yelling at Vrabel. I'm gonna tell you that right now. He would not be yelling at Vrabel. And countless others. I think DJ Moore would be called out because once he got that contract, suddenly he's not producing. or suddenly doesn't decide to run routes. And he's a great guy. And I actually do think he's a stud too. But here we are. All right, we'll continue this trend. Keenan Allen, you bald motherfucker. I get it. You're old. Like, whatever. Me too. Congratulations, bald. All right, catch the damn ball. All right, let's continue down this road. The most mature person in that locker room right now, and you see it during the press conferences, is Caleb Williams. It's 100% Caleb Williams.
Paint your nails and all.
I'm sorry. That's fine. I don't give a shit. Like, paint your nails. But guess what? He's the most mature person in that locker room currently right now, and he's handling everything better than any of those players are right now. You know why? Because he's like, all I want to do is win. Do the other players want to win? Does the whole franchise want to win? Like, I really hope to God that this franchise, this trash ass poverty franchise, has not broken this young man, because if he went anywhere but Chicago, he'd be breaking more records. He'd be breaking records. That's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah. Can I make a point, Bruce?
I also have like 3 things I want to say.
No, I don't want to hear some bullshit point about how Jaden Daniels is better.
No, this has nothing to do with Jaden Daniels.
I also don't have any
this
bullshit
has nothing
points.
to do with Jaden Daniels. This has nothing to do with Jaden Daniels. I'm going to make a point because there is because of a power trip mentality with
Agreed.
You see it with the Bears owners. You see it it's in New Orleans as well. I'm not just saying that this happens throughout the league. There is not a two-way street or a double standard when it comes to handling business as business. You just said earlier, they want to elevate people because they're friends or their family or you're just such a good guy. Business should be business. If you're going to treat business on any level below the front office, it needs to be a double standard above it. And that is not how these teams are treating it. They are treating business as, I'm not these players, so you make this much money. Okay, we're going to start you. You're the business, whatever. That's fine. You treat it like business with the players. Why not when it comes to your coaches? And I hate that. Do a coach search. Quit elevating people. There needs to be a two-way street and a double standard when it comes to business. You cannot promote and elevate your family because they're a nice guy. I don't want to ever hear somebody say, oh, this head coach, he's a nice guy. He's this, that, and the other. If he could be anything, but if he knew how to coach football, I want him on my team. I don't care. He could be the worst person I have ever met in my life. He could spit on my shoe. But if he got me a Super Bowl, I would have him spitting on every pair of dang shoes I owned because he won my team a Super Bowl. He brought a Super Bowl to my city.
I'm going to say one quote. And I want you to look this quote up, and I guarantee you're going to be – and, like, actually – oh, Connor's going to know this guy. He'll know this guy right away. But I don't know if you would know it off this quote. Here's your IQ, pal. That's all I got to do, and that's all he did. He coached
I had to guess probably like Mike Ditka or something.
Yeah, dude.
He wouldn't know. He would know.
And, like, yeah, okay, like – he may have a different opinion of Ditka than I do, but I also think the Saints fucked themselves over by trading their whole draft class for Ricky Williams. But we don't need to.
Mike Ditka did that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, and they shouldn't have ever put him in charge of like the.
He had freaking Joe Biden cirrhosis.
What?
He had like dementia. I swear. He had something to make that dang trade.
What did you just say?
You can't tell me.
My ears just
you can't tell me a famous quote is "Here's your IQ, pal." When you don't use IQ,
I will say though, if you look at the difference between how he interacted in press conferences with the Bears and when he went to the Saints, I was like, ooh,
he didn't care in New Orleans.
Yeah, no,
he didn't care.
Again. Golden parachute, John Fox. All right, Si, what you got? You said you were.
I have two things real quick. I would like to ask. This is towards you, Bruce. I trust your opinion when it comes to this. Number one, Ryan Poles. How long or short is his string now that Eberflus is gone? And then the second one is Thomas Brown is not the answer. But would he stick around and be the next offensive coordinator, or would he go find a home somewhere else?
Man, good. All right. Great questions. Great questions. I think the decision, and I haven't talked to anybody about this yet. I should probably send some texts out and some feeler messages, but I would think. Fuck. All right, we'll go opinion. Ryan Poles has actually missed on more of his acquisitions, for lack of a better way to put it, than he has hit on any of them. He's famously quoted, and I say famously because it was on ESPN, it was on Hard Knocks for a little bit, I think, too. Whatever. And then he ended up saying, quote, "It's gonna be tough to make this team." All right. Is it? Is it a team that has only won 4 games? All right. So okay, so then we'll look into the other perspective and see what he did with. Are you okay? What are you doing? Can you lay down? We'll look at it from the other perspective. He did have the trade that got the Bears DJ Moore, also got the Bears Caleb Williams, also got the Bears Tyreek Stevenson, whom also I say, by the way, I am totally okay with the Chicago Bears keeping him and taking him on, but I think his confidence is gone. I think there's an accountability factor that has to be put in place with him, and somebody just call him on his bullshit. However, I do think he's still a good corner. All right, that said, I don't know, man. I'm like a 55-45 type thing with Ryan Poles. 55, like, okay, like probably 50-50, maybe 51-49. 51, like I get his ass out. 49%. All right, let's keep him. Like, I'm not like as mad at him as I am the system that the McCaskies have set up. Because if you brought on a GM saying that, all right, you're going to be reporting directly to the owner of the Chicago Bears, and like we trust you, and then all of a sudden they bring in like Kevin Warren, and from all indications and from the people that I've talked to and text messages that I've gotten, which aren't many, he takes away a lot of the things in that room, and like has like the press conference that when they fired Eberflus, there's no reason for Kevin Warren to talk for 8 minutes straight. He shouldn't even been there. You're the president. You're supposed to be the one bringing a stadium to Chicago, a new stadium to the Chicago Bears. Shut the fuck up. Let the GM handle the player aspect. You handle the business aspect, and the McCaskies go own the fucking team and go on your yachts, fuckers, idiots. All right. Anyway, your second point, Thomas Brown. I actually do like Thomas Brown a lot. The crazy thing is, and I was actually looking at this. He gets a lot of bullshit about the Panthers, like, oh, he wasn't able to do anything for God, why is his name slipping me? The freaking rookie, not a rookie. He's a second-year player. No, yeah, second-year player on the Panthers. What the fuck was his name? Or is his name?
Bryce Young?
Bryce Young. I was gonna say Grease. Ah! Oh man, someone's drinking.
No
too
way.
Someone's drinking too much. All right, anyway, so Thomas Brown only had controls offensive coordinating, like play calling abilities for 4 games. That was it. And people are freaking out, talking crap, saying like, "Oh my god, like he didn't do anything for Bryce Young, like blah blah blah, like this, that, and the other." It's like, no, dude, like he only had play calling for four games, and then Eric Reich, or I think it was Eric Reich, took back over play calling duties after he relinquished them, and then took them back. So relax. Like when it comes to the development aspect. To answer your question though more directly, no, he's not going to be a part of the staff next year. The only way I could see it even be conceivably possible if Vrabel, like, and I say Vrabel, assuming that Vrabel, the defensive minded head coach, decides to come back, and they want to, the McCaskies end up putting their hand into the fucking cookie jar again and say, we want Caleb to have some consistency here, so we're going to make sure you stay on the staff, but we're going to hire a new coach, and we're not going to allow that coach to pick that offensive coordinator. So they're going to continue the bullshit.
I do want to ask something, Bruce, briefly before we get into the next segment.
Shoot.
if you want a defensive-minded head coach like Vrabel in Chicago, and your whole thing is, I want to produce Caleb Williams,
Do I
why
want?
bring in somebody like Vrabel? I know he's a very good candidate for the next head coach, as
Right.
do I. I want him in New Orleans. Why not bring an offensive-minded head coach like maybe Ben Johnson? The way he's been doing with Jared Goff has been fantastic this season.
Doing great.
Why not give the best scenario for Caleb Williams to find success in Chicago?
Dude, great question. And I don't disagree with you. I actually think Ben Johnson's done a tremendous job with the Lions. However, the Lions also built their team with an offensive line. Jared
And
Goff.
defensive.
Go
Well, I
ahead.
can't say really. Never mind.
Yeah, no, he was a tight end.
There was a defense kind of feel
Correct.
to it, but yeah,
So no. So real quick, so I actually don't mind Ben Johnson. I actually think Ben Johnson is an amazing offensive mind. However, I am of the mindset now. I've seen like the amazing offensive minds, like I've saw like Matt Nagy, like Mark Trestman. I already talked about this earlier. Like I've seen all that. All right, we can go as far back as Gary Crowton, the Gary Crowton offense. Look at that. Check out that offense. Like I'm just tired of like giving the Gary Crowton wasn't a head coach though, but I'm just tired of giving offensive coordinators like the first time, like whatever. I'm at that point now where I'd much rather to see a head coach that has proven himself. How about this? Ryan Tannehill hasn't done shit in the NFL until unless it was with Vrabel. Am I correct?
Correct.
Mike Vrabel also has I think it was like 55-45 record as a head coach with a quarterback is, I'd say maybe what? Probably in the top 20, top 25 ranked in the NFL.
he wasn't a good quarterback, but I see your point, Bruce. If you want to find somebody that had success in a run game and produce a quarterback, why bring Vrabel in?
Yeah, well,
because I understand you can say, okay, well, Vrabel can bring in the right people to produce Caleb Williams. But you have a guy who's great at defense, who had a great running game in Tennessee. That's what Vrabel knows. If you bring in a guy that already knows the run game, he's probably going to try to make the run game better. Am I wrong in that assumption?
Not necessarily.
Yes. I'm not going to say, okay, I won't say wrong. However, I will say there comes a certain aspect to it that allows an environment to be cultivated to help everything else prosper. You know what I'm saying? So so the famous quote right here in the Chicagoland area right now is a leader of men. And listen, Ben Johnson might be an amazing leader. Like I don't know. Like his play calling XOs and stuff like that, phenomenal. Whatever, it's fine. However, there's a proven track record with Mike Vrabel. So I want proven track record right now. And don't get me wrong, this is not a situation where I'm like, oh man, this is like the end all be all. I need Mike Vrabel. No, it's not like that. I want the Bears to go against the fucking grain for once and not hire. And I don't know if Johnson's a nice guy or not. I want them to go. I want them to get the fucking asshole. I want them for once to bring in the guy that's going to ask questions and talk shit and say I disagree to this. I want that back. I want that because if you look at the history of any Chicago sports, they had that. Phil Jackson, you had that with Joe Madden, you had that with fucking I don't know, Ozzie Guillen. You had that with just a multitude of like NBA, a multitude of coaches who led professional sports in the city of Chicago because they bucked the trend against the front office because they were assholes. They ended up getting let go, obviously. Go figure. But they brought a championship. So I want, hopefully, this franchise to understand that, like, yeah, it is what they're going to go for Ben Johnson. They are. I genuinely think they're going to go after Ben Johnson. However, I think Mike Vrabel is going to be a very, very nice, like, I guess, like, prize, or what's the word? Compensatory
Acquisition.
Consolation prize.
Consolation. There you go. Thank you. It's gonna be a nice consolation prize.
I don't hate the Ben Johnson move, but I honestly kind of like it more so than bringing in Mike Vrabel for Chicago.
No, and I get that. Seriously,
situation.
I get that too. I really understand that thought process. I don't think that that's a wrong move to make. I don't, but I also want somebody that's going to be able to tell people to shut the fuck up. And I don't know, and I know that you're going to get that with Vrabel. I don't know if you're going to get that with Ben Johnson, and I think that's where I'm questioning that. You know what I'm saying?
If you're looking for a culture change, Bruce,
Nice.
maybe changing to a culture that Ben Johnson can establish, that might not be Mike Vrabel's culture, could still be the move. It doesn't necessarily have, you don't have to change it to, oh, shut the heck up, you need to get out of here, F you, F this. Maybe Ben Johnson brings a culture to Chicago that's worth looking for.
But it's an accountability aspect, and I don't know if the accountability aspect would be there with it.
And maybe neither did Tennessee when they hired Vrabel. He had 1 year in Houston, pretty much. He was his defense in Houston, and it was like, okay, and get this, division rival to Tennessee.
But are you seeing a proven track record though?
But you did, but it was one defensive coordinator stint. It was one and done. And he was a head coach. And now you're looking at it. You can say the same thing with Ben Johnson, okay? He's proven it.
Fair.
There's a stint in Detroit where it's success.
But you're also seeing currently, but you also have to look at it from the perspective of, I have seen a multitude of offensive coordinators or offensive-minded coaches come into Chicago.
But you also just saw a defensive-minded one that left. So you got to keep that in mind, too.
Yeah, correct.
You just had that there.
So that goes back to my other point too of it's a systematic problem. It's a top problem. It's not.
I agree. I agree. 100%. I agree. But you know what? I couldn't agree more. Oh wait, you got it, Si. You got it.
I was just gonna add in real quick. I'm gonna make this very simple. This is my take. As long as there is a head coach, an offensive coordinator that can make Caleb Williams the best quarterback in the NFL, that is the only thing that Chicago Bears should be worrying about.
No, I agree.
The defense can figure itself out. The offensive weapons figure itself out.
It doesn't matter who it is. If it's a defensive mind, if it's an offensive mind, if it's a special teams coordinator, I don't give a fuck. Like if as long as you're able to maximize the ability of the quarterback position, that's it.
I get this, Jack. But he was a coordinator for 1 year. And usually coordinators are the people that become the head coach next. You don't hire a linebackers coach as the next head coach for your franchise. So let's keep that in mind, buddy. He was a coordinator for 1 year. And
buddy, wow, Jack.
Buddy. Wow.
I get that. I could coach for 1 year, or 7 years too. That doesn't mean I'm going to be a head coach the year after. I just wanted to show that he had proven a lot in 1 year. It was enough for
unless
Tennessee
you're the Bears.
Unless
you're the Bears, and you have an offensive or you have a passing game coordinator, and then promote him to an offensive coordinator, and then promote him again to a head coach. In 3 weeks.
The Bears.